In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front drive shaft on this Ford F-150. This, of course, applies to four-wheel drive models only. Let's get started. Now underneath the truck, you can see the front differential over here, and that is exactly where the drive shaft bolts on. It has 6 10mm bolts that go all the way around. I'm going to unbolt it here first, then we'll unbolt it from the backside on the transfer case. They are fairly long, keep that in mind. You should be able to spin this, assuming that the truck is not in four-wheel drive, which it shouldn't be. Make sure this bracket comes off as well. All right, last one. Now it's unbolted at the front, but most likely it's still going to be stuck on here just from rust. So I'm going to tap it with a hammer. There we go. That broke free. In here, I'm going to wipe off this grease. I'll add some new grease when the time comes, but for now, I don't want it collecting any dirt and debris. There we go. Same thing at the back here. Let's take off all 6 10mm bolts. And just tap it off. Okay, we actually have to drop the sway bar in order to have enough space to pull this drive shaft out. So use a 15mm socket, you'll need a deep socket, and take off all 4 mounting nuts for the sway bar brackets, 2 on the driver's side and 2 on the passenger side. The bolts are actually studs pressed into a bracket at the top, so we'll leave those there, even though they do move. And let's do the same over here. Hold the sway bar, drop it down slowly. It's not going to go all the way down because it's still connected to the sway bar links. And now you can take this, slide it forward, and down. And there it is. A lot of times the surface here will be rusted. Mine is actually in really good condition, so I can put my drive shaft right back in. And if you look on the transfer case side, the same thing applies. My surface is actually very clean. If it wasn't, I would want to sand it down or wire wheel it to make it look like this so that the drive shaft can seat all the way. I am going to coat this surface with anti-seize. If you want to use grease, you can, but I do recommend coating it with something so that it doesn't rust. Do the same on the other side. Now take the drive shaft and put it up. I'll line it up with the rear first, press it in, line it up with the front, and set it in here temporarily. I'm using new bolts on both ends. You don't have to, but regardless of what you do, apply blue thread locker to the end of the threads on both ends. If you do use your old ones, just clean them up before you apply the thread locker. Now I'm going to start in one of the bolts and try to line it up with the mounting hole. Move it around until you feel it line up. That just lined up for me. Yep, that one's in, started, so that's good. Before I start in the second one on that same bracket, I'm actually going to spin this around and start in the next bracket because I want to make sure that all of them are in. Okay, spin it around one more time, start in the last bracket. The side that bolts onto the transfer case had the brackets with just 2 bolts going through them, whereas the differential side had 3 bolts going through the same bracket. Okay, all the brackets are lined up. I'm going to start in the other bolts that are missing. I'm going to snug all these up. For me, the new bolts are an 8mm Allen, but if you're still reusing your old ones, well, you already know the size, 10mm socket. I'm just going to snug them up in a cross pattern. Then I'll come back and torque them. These all get torqued to 41 foot-pounds. I put a pry bar up on top there. That's going to hold this for me while I torque it down. Once again, 41 foot-pounds is the torque. That's one. I'm going to mark it with a yellow crayon. That way I don't accidentally go over it again. I want to make sure that I go in a cross pattern so that I can seat this properly. Even though I did snug them, it took me about 2 full rotations of this bolt to actually torque it. So I know that the drive shaft still has a ways to go to be fully seated. Having said that, I'm going to mark this one with yellow. That way I know it's done. And I'll move on straight across to that one over there. And let's line these up on the differential side. I'm just going to slide them all in with their bracket, not all the way through, but just into the drive shaft so I can get them out of my hand. They're ready to go, and now I can work on lining up the drive shaft. Okay, I got this one started. Let's see if I can start another one. I'll go across to this one. All right, let's snug them up, and these also get torqued to 41 foot-pounds. This one's going to be a little bit easier to hold because it's right here out in the open. And now I'm just going to double check them all. Okay, this is tight. Now we have to bring the sway bar up and start it on the brackets. Start whatever mounting nut lines up first. That's going to hold it for you. You can start the one on the back side and then do the same to the other side. Now let's snug these up and torque them to 41 foot-pounds. And that's tight.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.